Okay, good afternoon, everybody. So I wanted to give you an introductory video, an orientation video, showing you how to navigate HTC's not just main web page, but all of our Canvas materials, bearing in mind the fact that this is a DLON L class, which means fully online course. There is one other version of online at HTC. It's called DLive C. That would be an online class, but has live lectures. So in that case, you meet like a Monday, Wednesday, 9 a.m., that kind of idea. This class is not that. This is fully online. It's more or less on your own. I'm here to help you. You can ask me questions, set up Teams appointments. I have all your materials online, that kind of idea. So it's paced by you with me setting up dates for like exams, that kind of idea. So let me show you how you navigate everything. Obviously, your main HEC webpage, you would go, of course, to Canvas, your version of it. This is my version of it. And then, of course, navigate to our class. So here it is. This is the welcome page to our course. Like with anything, especially now being online, make sure you read things very carefully. So this is a late start class. I'll get to that more in a minute, but I'm teaching other sections of environmental science and zoology. So even though I did this exact same idea for them, I have students coming to me and still asking me, well, I don't know what to do, X, Y, and Z. And when I talk to them, one of the biggest things I note is that they didn't even bother with the welcome page. They just kind of went right here, went right to the links on the side, that kind of idea. But read this, not just again, general information on the course, like the section number and the course itself. And of course, I'm giving them a welcome. But there's a lot here for you. For example, the college has these orientation videos. They are fantastic. They should be working fine. They were just working before I started the video, so I can imagine they're down, but there you go. So if you're new to Canvas, for example, this will help you run through that. In this video. And then this, of course, is a resource video, same idea. Again, if you're new, this will help you run through this kind of idea. So there you go. So take a watch on these. They are absolutely for your own edification. And then, of course, I put in these tips to get started. Now, these first two are exactly the same, but I meant it so seriously. Do what you're doing right now. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you're watching the orientation video. But again, even this summer, where I'm saying start here, when I query what's going on, students are saying, yeah, we didn't watch the video. Yeah, start there. Read the page. Watch the video like you're doing now. Watch it thoroughly, completely, and then ask me questions, of course. That's my job to help you. So this is meant to kind of get you into the mold of what this course is going to be. So do that. When you're done watching the video, I'm going to go over everything. I'm going to go over the syllabus and the files and all that kind of idea. Then on your own, read the course syllabus. So between me explaining it and you reading it thoroughly and carefully, you have an idea what to do in the course, when things are due, that kind of idea. For the entire semester, make sure you're checking this announcements link. It's right here. As I'm knowing, check it regularly every day. That includes weekends. I tend to be a very communicative professor. I talk a lot. Now, granted, this is a DLON L class, so there's no live lectures, but I still talk to you guys. So in that case, this is one of my main mediums to do so. A lot of things happen. Even on weekends, things happen. So this is your first day of class, mind you, and I've already got 3 announcements up here for you. Pretty much what I'm talking about in the video is in this first class session. So it's kind of like a summary of everything I'm doing in this video. So again, read it when you have a chance. Go back and refresh your memory if you need to do so. Both in the first class session and right here, I have the orientation videos. So in 2 places, you can find the orientation video. And then I'll show you this in the syllabus, but the college needs a way to verify attendance. Now, with this being a fully online class, that's not the easiest thing to do. So they've given us this way to do it. This is a letter from you, specifically an HCC email from you to my HCC email, simply saying, yes, I formally would like to stay in the course. It's a way that we can deal with, again, attendance. We know what's going on. We know that you've at least looked into the materials. You have an idea what's going on with the class, that kind of idea. So you must have this. If you do not send this to me, you will be deregistered from the course. This is really the only time professors can do this. It's known as the WN, withdraw non-attendance. I'll come back to that more in your syllabus. So that's your announcements link. Now, with the announcements link, as I'm saying here on your welcome page, check it every day. And I mean, even weekends. There you go, including weekends. So I think it's a few semesters ago now. Give you an example. I had a student that was kind of new to college. And so they had been getting behind on materials and they were falling behind in the lecture material. And I was speaking to them saying, what's going on? I see you getting frustrated. They were behind. And one of the comments came up, said, well, did you understand in the announcements what I was saying about something? Like, what? No, you didn't say that. Yeah, it's right here. And their comment really was, oh, well, in their opinion, they should only have to check announcements on the day of class. So again, if we had a Monday, Wednesday class, they only need to check announcements on Monday, Wednesday. That is not correct. This is not high school. Let's just get that out of the way right now. You are in full-fledged college. There is absolutely no difference in a course like this when I teach it here or when I've taught at USF. None. The only difference between community college and university is that we teach freshman, sophomore level. We generally don't teach upper division or graduate school. So in a community college or junior college, begin to teach, say, upper division, they're technically not a junior college anymore, community college. They're moving towards like a state college. And then, of course, once you're getting towards graduate level, you teach masters and PhDs, then you're more or less a university. So they kind of had this idea, well, this is how we did it in high school. This is how we do it in college. You're not really college. It's kind of the discussion I was getting with the student. No, there is no such thing as like a grade 13 in the United States. You go from high school to other, like a trade school or college. College, university, again, the differentiation between them is how far do you teach? Do you teach just the associate level, like we do at HEC, freshman, sophomore? Do you teach all the way through the baccalaureate level, 4-year? Or do you go through master's and PhD? That's really the only difference. That means then our freshman, sophomore classes are once again identical to university. I'm not teasing. When I'm at USF and teaching there, as I have done in the past, I do not change what I do at HEC. I don't change what I'm doing at USF, HEC, or vice versa. And I certainly don't water it down. This course, like any class you take at HEC, should be identical to the same course at university. And that means this: things happen all the time, all the time. And I need to put announcements out. For example, there was a textbook issue for the ebook for this class that was affecting the regular start course. You guys are the late start. So for me, that was just happening, within a day or two ago. I'm videoing right at the beginning of the regular summer session. You guys again start on the 31st. So because that ebook issue had come up right here in the first week of the regular session, not only was I, of course, understandably getting some questions from the students, right? But I was communicating back to the students, here's what's going on. Well, that's not a Monday, Wednesday deal. That is a, hey, this is what's going on. You need to be aware of it. Even on the weekends. I have to work on the weekends, yeah. So things happen. Now take on a Monday, Wednesday class then. If you have an exam set for a Monday and something happens on a Saturday or Sunday, that's probably going to affect you on that Monday. So you need to know that. But if you don't bother to check your announcements, it's not going to go well. So please make sure you understand where you are. You're in full college, no different than university, and you need to approach it as such. It includes these announcements. Just check it regularly. Doesn't mean I have announcements out every day. Of course not. I think in my normal start for the summer environmental science class, I've already had, 3 more announcements maybe tacked onto the 3 they started with. And we're still in the first week, mind you. So it can get busy. I'm communicative, so check that regularly. Now I'll show you your files link. We'll go there in a minute. Pretty much everything you need for the course is in your files link, except the textbook. I have to have you get that. I was just noting the ebook. I'll get down to that link eventually. It's down here. So, but everything else I can put up when I'm allowed to put up, I put up for you, again, to help you. I'm trying to do everything I can to make this course as streamlined as possible for you. Of course, that means familiarize yourself with everything, know where to find stuff, know when due dates are. I have a thorough syllabus, to say the least. It's up to you as an adult and or college student to read through that syllabus, understand it, which means ask questions, and then adhere to it. It's just the way college works. And then, as I'm noting here, ask questions whenever they arise. Don't let things snowball. Certainly in a college class, certainly in a math and science class, everything builds on itself. And you're waiting to like the day before a test, even the day of an exam. That's not going to go well. I'm teaching 9 credits a summer. That's a full-time load for a professor. And that's just coursework. Before I came into you guys, I effectively just came out of a committee. We have committee duty issues. We have community service duty issues. We have club duty issues that might be out there. There's a lot going on. So again, it's really busy, which means you don't want to wait till last second. Catching me, like any professor, it's tough, especially because we're doing this online. I'm not in my office. I'll come back to that in a minute, my syllabus. So you can't find me there. It's just that simple. So again, a little bit of forethought is usually quite good. Here is, of course, just again, general information for the course. And then my contact information, you can see my HEC email there. I'm good at getting back to students through email, but notice the timing here. This is email protocol in the United States. Notice that it says 24 to 48 hours, not 24 to 48 minutes. But I've had students do that before. I'll come back to my office after, teaching a couple classes and finally sit down. It's the first time I've even sat down in like 5 hours. I can finally check email and I'll have a response for students. Hey, I emailed you 2 hours ago. Where have you been? Wow. Well, first off, it's none of your business where I've been. But second, I've been in class. So my job is not to cater to you. That's not how college works. My job is to facilitate information, describe stuff, traditionally speaking. Here, it's guide you, of course, answer questions, have Teams appointments if you want to schedule them, that kind of idea. But it's not to be at your beck and call. We are exceedingly busy, like a lot of jobs normally. We are very busy. So it takes time to get back to people. That's just the way it works. And notice Monday through Friday. Yeah, this might surprise you, but we have something of a life and I got a family. So usually on weekends, professors are off dealing with family matters, getting ready for the next week, let alone anything else going on. So when I get back on Monday, I'll get to you as soon as I can. Again, as I was saying a moment ago, a little bit of forethought goes a long ways. So please bear that in mind. All right, so that's the introductory page. Of course, your announcements. Let's go to files. Most of what you're going to need in the semester is here. Let's start with your syllabus. I'll come back to these other links as I need to do so. So like anything else, click on that link. There you go. I recommend with any of these PDFs, you open it up in a different tab. It just works better. Don't know why, but sometimes when you just click on it, it has this little wheel that spins, that kind of idea. But this tends to work a bit better. So there you go. Now I haven't coded everything I can in PDF. That means it should open up in any major operating system. Obviously, this is Windows, but Mac as well as Linux. Now it's PDF, so it comes from Adobe. Please do not send me a message saying, well, I don't have Adobe. Yes, you do. It's free. Download it. Now, if you're having a technical issue with Adobe, talk to Adobe. I've got nothing to do with how their program works. I've got nothing to do with the operating system you are dealing with. Again, you are an adult and or college student. You should learn how to deal with tech issues. That's going to come up a lot in this course. There's only so much I can help you with. So now I'm not asking you then to buy any product from Adobe, but you can have the free version of Adobe Acrobat or something like that and open up a PDF. So please do so. So here it is. You can see again, general information, my contact information, including my office number and my email. Don't use my office number. Only in that, as I said just a moment ago, I'm teaching online this term. I am not at HCC this summer. So as it stands now, I'm not going to be probably walking back into my office until the earliest of August, which that means if you go looking for me, probably not going to find me. In my 2 classes I'm currently teaching that started in the normal time for the summer, I had one student say, yeah, I'd like to set up a formal meeting at your office. When are you going to be there? That clearly told me the student hadn't read the syllabus and or the orientation video when they were asking, when are you going to be in your office? Because in the orientation video for them, just like I said to you, I'm not on campus this term. So I replied to them and I said, well, as I noted to you in the syllabus and on the orientation video, I'm not at the campus this term. So we need to schedule something through Microsoft Teams. And they wrote back saying, oh, okay, yeah, I need to make sure to watch this stuff. Sorry about that. If I have any questions, I'll schedule a Teams appointment. Perfect. But again, just make sure you read your syllabus, thoroughly watch this video. So there's my HCC email address. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, send me there. Make sure you're sending from your HCC email to that HCC email. Other email systems don't work so well, even if they're .edu, they don't always work so well. So send it there, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Now, these course intended outcomes, this is generally not set down by any one faculty member. I did not write this. Usually a committee comes together and says, here's what needs to be done in this course. Look at everything they decided needs to be done in this course. This is robust. This is a lot to do. That's okay. Now, generally in the fall and spring, that's a 16-week class. It's still, in that case, usually I'm teaching on campus or face-to-face, that kind of idea. So it's still a lot to get through. In the summer, it's faster. And bear in mind, this is a late start class, which means it's an accelerated class. Now keep that in mind. It's an accelerated summer class where summer by nature is already accelerated. So you're effectively in an accelerated class. Okay, that means there is a lot to do in a short amount of time. Please make sure you understand that. And when you get to the end of the syllabus and you see my tentative schedule, you're like, wow, we've only got 6 weeks really to do everything they do in 16. Yeah, it's an accelerated summer class. So make sure you understand what you're signing up for. That being said, again, it's kind of on your pace. I have it structured when the exams are. but everything else is kind of on your pace. So again, you can do it as fast as you want, as slow as you want. Hopefully that's what you're signing up for. I'm still here to help you. Bear in mind, I'll note this later, faculty, we're not tutors. We have a lot to do. So if you need excessive help, there is an academic success center, which I'll show you in a minute, at HEC. That's where tutors are found. But just be aware, there's a lot to do in a short amount of time. Okay, so you might have noted then, as we're going through this, yeah, we're on page 2 of a 16-page syllabus. Oh my goodness gracious. For what it's worth, this is not the longest syllabus I've ever come across. When I was in graduate school, actually moving more towards HEC after graduate school, there was a course I took through the college. They required us to take this. The professor had it was like a 31-page syllabus. It was a long syllabus. Wow, okay. So they can be really lengthy. Kind of bear that in mind. Now for me, why did this happen? This is due to COVID. It's really that simple. I had never taught online until COVID came down the pike. And then we were like all tossed into online. That was stressful, to say the least. So I didn't really have much training, like most faculty, tossed in, and we had to kind of figure it out on the fly. I'm sure you remember how that worked. We were at campus, then we were off campus. It was kind of what happened during COVID in 2020. So as I transitioned to online, I had to take like all of us, what we were doing face to face and try to rework it for online. And so I thought, well, I've been using a syllabus. They were generally 5 or 6 pages for years and years. Now they were modified syllabi. I update them all the time. But even though I update them all the time, they still kind of hovered around 5 or 6 pages. Well, I've never had any issue with that before. I don't remember anybody really grumbling about it before. So great. I modified it for my online stuff and on we went. I had a number of students saying, yeah, this isn't going to work. Mainly the concern was it's not thorough enough. We're not with you. It's not as direct just to catch you before class or after class or during lab and ask questions. So we would prefer and appreciate not just being thorough, but specificity. Okay, so I took that to heart. I sat down and thought to myself, if I had an orientation day at HEC, a first day of class where I'm going over the syllabus, what are all the things I would have said? And as I sat down and thought about that, here's what I ended up with. I say a lot. And so a 16-page syllabus for your class came out from that. And because there's so much there, that's why I gave you a table of contents, which means you shouldn't need to send me an email saying, I don't know what exams are about. I don't know how to do exams. Well, did you read your syllabus? I had students, well, I don't know where to find it in your syllabus. Really? There's a part in your table of contents right there that says, oh yeah, exams, page 9. It's no more difficult than flipping over to page 9 and reading about examinations. And of course, ask me any questions after you've read it. So use this. It is not appropriate as adults and or as college students to just say, well, it's just easier to send an email. No, you are not doing your job in that regard. And I've got usually hundreds of students. It takes me time to get back to you. And I'll come back to that a bit more in email. So again, be an adult. Start here if you need to. Table of contents, find out what you need help on, and then go and work on it. All right, so this came from the college. Again, it's a COVID issue. Now, from a science point of view, most of us, like in science and math, and for a lot of faculty members, generally at HEC, at university, we are not education majors. K through 12, that's often not the case. A lot of teachers at K through 12, they went and got degrees in education. Once you get to college and university, that switches. There are very few people I've ever known at college and university that actually have a degree in education. We have degrees in our subject matter, and then we teach for various reasons. So for us, being a scientist, our approach to COVID might be a little bit different than somebody who's just in another field forever, whatever that field is. So for me, I don't really pay attention to the news all that much. Yeah, it's interesting. I might hear what Bay News 9 is saying or CNN is saying or Fox News, whatever. I might hear what they're saying. But for me, it's much more important and illustrative to go and read a first journal, a first primary tier journal. So I might go to to Lancet or the American Medical Association or something like that and read what they've said. I might go right to the CDC and read one of their publications from scientists and see what they said, see what the statistics say, see what the results of data say, and then draw my conclusions. And that's actually our job as scientists, to be able to read published literature and draw conclusions. Now, I teach that with my non-majors as well as my majors, how to approach scientific literature. Now, a non-major is more just going to be aware. For majors, I actually teach them how to approach literature. And one of the things I really kind of harp on is never assume a paper that's published in any field, including here science, is done well. I have had colleagues that have done that. Well, it's published, it must be good. No, there are a number of reasons why a paper might get published. So our job as scientists, once a paper's published, is to get that paper and scientifically critique it, effectively tear it apart. Not in any kind of malicious way, but vet it. Is it really good science? Don't just assume it's right. Think our way through what's being said. So with these scientific journals, I read that and I make my decisions on what's going on. Now, granted, I still follow college policy, that kind of idea. Sure, sure, sure. But let me put it this way. COVID's not going away. It's that simple. The data on this is clear. There's no ambiguity here. It's going to be around. It might wax and wane, sure, but it looks like it's going to be around. If you've been paying attention, my window's right there. So in what's going on in the world, you might have noted they're already talking about like a yearly shot or a yearly pill, kind of like a flu shot kind of idea, depending on what COVID is up to. And COVID is more virulent than influenza, which is pretty scary. Look what happened back in the 1918 influenza issue. Goodness gracious. So even right now, what is today? Today is the 20th of May. I'm already reading about flare-ups that are occurring. Even places in the US that are having significant upticks in COVID cases, even with vaccines, that kind of idea, although vaccine still is a much better way to go based on the literature. So masking. I don't care personally what someone else does. That's their decision. Choose what you like. I mask. I still mask when I'm at college. I still mask when I go out. I hate masks. I hate them. I do not like wearing a mask at all. But I understand the science. And then on top of that, I've got a wife with cancer. I'm not playing any games. So I wear a mask. And I've already seen some areas here in the United States that are talking about putting in mask mandates. Will it happen again? Don't know, because that's politics. Is science influenced by politics? Yep. Should science be political? Sure. That's not how it works. That's especially true in a class like environmental science. I'll come back to that later. So I have to be cognizant of what's going on around me. And the college still has this. Now, you might have noted, middle of the spring 2022 term, they relaxed the mask mandate. Fine. But we have not been asked to remove these from our syllabi yet. Because, again, we don't know what's actually going to happen out there. So this is still there. This is still from the college saying, please put this in your syllabus. And when they said that, we didn't change anything. They just said, just take it, plop it in your syllabus. This comes right from HCC. So, and most of this is just common sense. If you are sick, don't go to class. Now, granted, this is a fully online class. You might be wondering, why in the world does he have this in a fully online course for syllabus? I don't know what you're doing with this class. I've had students that will be doing the material and have a live lecture at DLive-C, not a DLive like us, but a DLive-C. Maybe they're watching the online lectures at the campus. I don't know where you are. And so if you're at HCC, you need to be aware of the protocols. There you go. So if you're not feeling well, yeah, protect yourself, protect others. That's what this all is about. Wear a mask. Yeah, a lot of us still wear masks. Don't be surprised by that. It's just the way it is. I still follow policy. HCC still follows what the state's saying. So yes, there's a lot of steps out there. But again, just kind of bear in mind whatever the college does. Hand washing. This still blows my mind. Even when I first saw this coming out from HCC, are we not dealing with adults? Are we not dealing with college students? Why do we need to tell people to wash their hands? Well, welcome to humans, yeah? And so they're noting about this whole how to wash your hands. This is not just for COVID. This is in general, mind you. And then the alcohol idea. This is technically incorrect, by the way. Literature indicates it should be 70%. So I kind of still recommend that, but HCC is what it is. So there's your mask issue. There's your hawk tracing. This is all part of HCC, that kind of idea. This is already making me think, so I'm mentioning it now. HCC has a hawk alert system. It's not the same as hawk tracing, mind you. Kind of gives you an idea what's going on in campus, gives you all sorts of messages, kind of good idea. It's sort of the same thing as USF, where they have the bull alert. I recommend you get it. There could be a number of things going on that you need to be aware of. So it's good to be having the information before you find yourself in a bad situation. So I recommend you sign up for these things. This is also kind of one of those, why does he have it in an online syllabus? We don't have any even live lectures. Well, again, I don't know where you're dealing with this course or any class, so I elected to keep it in. So this really isn't direct to you. But it just means, whenever you're at the college, whenever you're in a class, don't be an arse. Just, come to class, go to college, be an adult, and have a good day. Let others have a good day. That's all it's talking about. So give a read. Again, it's not really for my class outside of like a Teams appointment, but beyond that, just kind of be polite is all it's meaning. All right, so getting to what you need. Right, so you do need the textbook. It's just that simple. You need the textbook for a few things. The posted lecture notes, the files then, Those posted lecture notes are the summaries of the chapters. Summaries, mind you. So while I'm saying, let me go to one of those real quick. So here we're in the Files tab. Again, if you click on Files, you get the list here. There's your lectures. Click on Lectures. Pick any one of them. Let's just do Chapter 1. Why not? I still recommend you open up in a new tab. There you go. Let it download. And there we are. Now, notice this is 57 slides. So this is effectively a 57-slide PowerPoint. When we get these come from the author, thankfully. I've had to write notes from scratch. It is a full-time job writing notes, literally. So when I get these from the author, then it's just the chapter. So what I do, I go through these and I take out the stuff you don't need. I'm following the course intended outcomes. I might add in a few tidbits here and there that should be there that aren't, and I look for mistakes. It's kind of the idea. So this is effectively a summary of your chapter. It's a summary, mind you, and it's still 57 slides long. Students don't seem to understand that. Science is information rich. And biology of the sciences is really information rich. The worst I have, man, worst in quotes, just kind of is what it is, right? Is my second sem major's Bio 2 class. That deals with like evolutionary theory, organismal biology, ecology. Well, this is environmental science, close to ecology, not the same thing, mind you. So I remember in that one, chapters 33 and 34, invertebrates and vertebrates. Technically, chapter 34 is on chordates, but they're focusing on vertebrates. Chapter 34, very much like 33, was the longest. If I remember correctly, that chapter, when I got the notes from the author, just the notes alone, meaning the outline of the chapter, was 220 slides long. Have you ever seen a PowerPoint with 220 slides? So I did what I did. I followed the course intended outcomes. I went through it, took out all the stuff I thought I could take out, added in any tidbits I thought I needed to, and looked for any mistakes. If I remember correctly, I currently have it whittled down to 99 slides. Now you might be thinking, oh my God, 99 slides. That's way too much. But think about that for a second. I went from 220 slides down to 99, man. Do you know how hard that was? I effectively cut out half the chapter. Welcome to science. So not uncommonly, I get people criticizing me. It's just unreasonable that he had 57 slides in the chapter. You have no idea what you're talking about. It's just not appropriate because this is what science is. When you read your chapters, right? You'll see how much more is there. Now, let's go back to why you need your book. Here's what I recommend. Start by reading the chapter. You do not need to memorize everything. Just read it. Understand it. Get a sense of what's going on. You don't have to memorize everything. Just, yep, I have a feeling what's going on. Take a few notes. That'd be great. Make it active. We've seen in research that if you make like reading a book active, you tend to remember it much better. So take a few notes, that kind of idea. That does not mean outline the chapter. That would take forever. Just, jot a few notes, make it active. One thing I was always taught, this slide's perfect, actually. Let's say I didn't have this question mark there. So something that was taught to me when I was an undergrad, which has always stuck with me. If the chapter heading, the section heading, whatever it was titled environmental science, put a question mark after it. This is great because you're asking yourself, well, what is environmental science? And as you read that section, take a few notes. Okay, this is what environmental science is. Here are the parts that make it up. What is the difference applied and empirical? I guarantee you are going to hit questions I'm going to ask on the test. There's only so many ways I can ask, what is environmental science? So make your reading active, but don't overdo it. You just want to come out with that chapter with a sense of what's going on. After you've done that, then go to your PowerPoints. These summaries, yes, even though it's 57 slides long, these summaries, this is what you need to know for your exam. You do not need to send me an email saying what's going to be on the test. Your test is made up of two things, the PowerPoints and your labs. There you go. You know exactly what's on your exam. So your textbook helps you with two things. Actually, three things. It gives you an idea of what the chapter is about. It helps you to understand the extra stuff that isn't in my PowerPoints. Now, why do you need to know that? Well, extra credit. If I have extra credit on my exam, it's going to come out of the parts of the chapter that aren't here, that I don't have time to lecture on normally during the fall and spring. Now, it's an extra credit area, so you don't need to worry about it. You get it right, great. You get it wrong, it doesn't do anything to you. So you have a better chance at getting the extra credit correct if you've read your textbook. And then the homework is at the end of your modules in your book. There you go. So you need your textbook. These PowerPoints are a courtesy to you, but they're very helpful. So you need your book. You got to get it. Now we use this custom manual at HEC. It is a custom book. Comes out of what's known as a CAR book, K-A-R-R, which is why you don't see that word here, CAR. The author's name is CAR, K-A-R-R. This is a custom manual. I had a student this semester say, well, I can't find the book. Because they weren't understanding, it's a custom book. Remember, read your syllabus. Now, if you want to go to the publisher, you want to go to Amazon and buy the book, knock yourself out. The custom manual was designed to try to save you a bit of money, but you're welcome to go and buy the full book if you like. And then there is a lab manual by Thomas Klee. Now, hopefully this highlights, you're seeing this orange page. This is the lab manual for Mr. Klee. Sometimes it's orange, sometimes it's brown. There's different colors I use for this. This is all like a $3.50 manual. You must get this. It's going to be a well-used $3.50. Now, Mr. Klee puts up two things in the bookstore, from my understanding. This, what you need, it's noted right here, the laboratory manual. So laboratory manual for environmental science, that's what you need. Mr. Klee also has lecture notes. You do not need that. You already have my lecture notes. They're right here. These PowerPoint files, those are my lecture notes. This is exactly what I would have been lecturing on in the fall and spring in front of a class, in a D-Live C class, that kind of idea, on campus, that kind of idea. You already have my lecture notes. You don't need Mr. Klee's lecture notes, but you need his lab manual. So purchase that. So you need to buy the custom manual or the ebook, one or the other. You don't need both. One or the other is fine. I don't care which one you get. It's effectively the same thing except for one thing. And quite literally, as of yesterday, I had another discussion with this publisher about an issue I have with this book. Last semester, it came to light really fast that the physical book had no answers to the homework questions in the back of the book. The ebook had some of the answers. So that became a bit of an issue. And I'll come back to that when we get to your homework section. So that's really the only difference I saw between the physical book and the ebook, which means I don't care which one you get. I've handled, as far as I can, the homework issue. I'll come back to that in a minute. And then, of course, the best advice I can get is make sure you read. Now, I said before coming to class, but it's meaning here, wherever you're doing class material. Read it. Then go to the PowerPoint notes. Then ask me questions. That's the best way to go. Now, attendance. Yeah, so this is quite challenging. How do you do attendance in a fully online class? So when I asked that question, because I was genuinely curious, what do you want me to do? What's college policy? Because it would be different from me just saying, just do this. And I wanted to be as official as I could. The college spec said, well, there's different things you could do. So here's what we're going to do. Notice on the 23rd, hang on a second. This should be a little bit later than that. I apologize. I'll change that. Yeah, it should be a little bit later. Let me flick down here real fast. My apologies. Yeah, it should be, sorry about that. It should be on the 7th. My apologies. I will correct that before I open the class for you. So at the time of you watching this video, this will be all corrected. On the 7th of June, you'll be taking a quiz on the syllabus. Just read over your syllabus once or twice and you'll be fine. I am not looking for the most minutia detail out there. No. Just be generally aware what's going on. You're good. All I'm making sure is that you read your syllabus once or twice. And it's an extra credit quiz. Now, extra credit does not mean optional. You have to do this. It's the way I can do attendance. But being extra credit, hey, what a nice way to start the course, right? With a couple of free points. And then on the 9th of June, and this is actually by the 9th of June, you need to send me an email from your HEC email to my HEC email, formally stating, yes, I want to stay in the course. Again, it's another way we can do attendance, and it's also us making sure that you know what's going on. Because by that point, you've read the syllabus, watched the orientation video, that kind of idea. So again, I will change these 2 dates. I apologize about that. Again, at the start of this, when you're watching this orientation, the earliest of the 31st of May, that will be corrected in your syllabus. So that's 2 ways I could do attendance. Here's another one. On Fridays, you will have a discussion posted. So I'll talk about that more in a minute. This is a time for you to go on and just talk about environmental science. You really can't get anything wrong. It's just a laid back way of chatting about the subject. So I have a subject that I've fleshed out for you, and I want you to just give your opinions on it. You can't get it right or wrong, just based on the science. Here's what I think is happening. That's all you have to do. And it's going to be between you and your colleagues. I'll watch it. I'll jump in if I have to, that kind of idea. But I'm going to watch that. It's activity. And so if you're not doing it, you're not getting attendance. Of course, you're going to submit homework. So that works as attendance too. You have to do a Gordon rule. HEC decided this is a Gordon rule class, so it's obviously attendance. And of course, you're going to take exams. All of that's way I can do attendance. Now, note right here, you have a WN. The only time, as I noted a few minutes ago, professors can withdraw a student from a course is this, withdraw non-attendance. This is a little bit like USS first day drop policy. It's kind of what this works out to. That's a little bit more stern than HEC, quite literally a first day drop policy. If you do not attend the class on the very first day at USF, you are automatically dropped from the course. They get grumpy fast. And bear that in mind. If you think community college professors are grumpy, wait till you get to university. So HEC had to have something. This is what they want us to do, which means by the time WN is due, you had to do these two parts, the extra credit quiz and the email from you. And by that time, actually, for this course, because it's so fast in the class, the first discussion will be up as well. So between these three things, if you haven't done any one of these three things, you have to do at least one of them. I'm going to withdraw you. It is my job to do so. But as long as you've done one of them, I can keep you in. You need to do all of these, especially the extra credit one. Why do you want to waste free points? You know, it's up to you, but you need to do it. So again, don't mess around. There are rules by how the college works. We are all held to those rules. Okay, my office hours, there you go. Now this is an online class. HEC has a very particular way of doing online hours in the summer. We have to have 10 minutes of office hours per credit hour. I'm teaching 9 credits this term, so it's 90 minutes of office hours. It's a bit strange. I'm up early. There's a couple of reasons for that. So I usually am checking email from like 6:30 a.m. to like 9 p.m. regularly, and I check it all the time. So this really doesn't matter. I just have to have something formal, and this will be a time, like I usually am anyhow, when I hop online and see what's going on in the day. You know, has somebody sent me an email over the night, that kind of idea. So you can see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 20 minutes, which is 80 minutes total, and then 10 minutes on Friday. But you know what? In reality, this doesn't make much difference because I check email all the time. This is when I'm like dedicating time to email, but I check email all the time. And I generally do it again from like 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. Now, granted, I'm really busy during all that time, so I'm not continually checking it. I can't. I've got classes to teach and committees to be on and all sorts of stuff. But I check it as much as I can. So, and I'm really good at getting back to people. So just don't forget that 48 hours idea, but I'm still really good at getting back. But I had to have something, so there you go. And on top of that, if you wish, you can schedule a Microsoft Teams appointment with me if you like. No worries. Now you have to schedule this. You have to send me an email. We need to work out a time that's amicable to us both. And then we'll sit down and have an appointment. The most common reason people ask for that is to go over an exam, something I absolutely recommend. Why not? I recommend it on campus. I recommend it off campus. So great. Now, my experience has been students, when they do that, they generally sign up for an hour to an hour and a half. This is student driven. It has nothing to do with me. You say, yeah, I'd like to do that. I know it takes an hour and a half usually. Let's sign up for that. Great. We'll block out a time. Whether you stay for 10 minutes, a whole hour and a half, you're controlling the time on that. You just need to formally set it up. Now, if you've never used Teams before, click on this link. This video will show you how to set up Teams. And then we'll go from there. Now, as I noted earlier, remember, professors are not tutors. That is not our job. Being a tutor is like a full-time job in itself. We are not able to be there whenever you need us. Like I've had students say, well, it's 11 p.m. Where are you? Are you kidding me? I get up at like 5 a.m. I'm probably already in bed because I'm an old fogey. But on top of that, I've got 90 million things I'm doing through the day, including my family. So that's just not our job. If you need that much extra help, you need to go to the Academic Success Center where you can schedule tutors. And I'm giving the link for that. They're lovely people. Go and talk with them, set up a tutor. They have bio tutors up there. Get what you need. You are still welcome to set up an appointment with me and ask me some questions. But remember, this is not study hall. This is, okay, I read the chapter, I've got a few questions. Let's sit down and talk about it. Great. Poignant. I've got a few questions. Great. Let's sit down and talk about it. I want to go over the exam. Let's sit down and talk about it. Gordon rule. I haven't gotten there yet. Comes up here. We are not, HEC does not want us to function as English professors. And that makes perfect sense. I am not an English teacher. The last time I took an English class, literally, was 1993. Oh my gosh, it's amazing how fast time goes. You'll be saying that soon. Wait till you're, for 50. I just turned 50. So 50 like me, and like, where did the last 30 years go? Yeah, that's how life generally goes for humans. So to make me into an English professor is not appropriate. So we have a writing center at HEC. You are required to go to the writing center and get help from them, people who are formally trained in English. And then you send us your Gordon rule when you're done. Now, if you have general questions like, is this topic good? Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to help you with that. Did I do a citation correct? Yeah, sure. General questions like that, no worries. But it was like, how do I write my paper? That kind of idea. you need to go to the Writing Center. Yeah. These centers are out there for you. Use them. Yeah, right. So there's your email messages. I've already explained most of this. However, a few little bits here for you. Most saliently, please tell me who you are. That might seem simple, like, well, isn't my name there? No, actually, sometimes I get just bizarre emails. But even then, let's say I get an email from Bob P. Smith. Well, what do you know? This semester, I happen to have 3 people with the exact same name. I don't mean that as a joke. I get into the hundreds of students every term. It is not unusual to have students with the exact same name. So let's say hypothetically this semester I've got 3 Bob P. Smiths. Okay, so I get a message from Mr. Smith who, not uncommonly, the subject line says Bob Smith. Okay, so I don't know what the email's about. I look at the body of the email. It says, what did we do today? I have no idea. I don't know who you are. I don't know what class you're in. I don't know what subject you're talking about. So I have to send a message back, and I do, to Mr. Smith saying, well, who are you? My experience has been 9 times out of 10, I don't get any reply to that. So you wasted your time sending me the message. I wasted my time replying because you didn't follow up. Well, let's take the track that you did. So on email number 3, you said, oh yeah, okay, sorry about that. I'm Bob Smith in your DLON late start environmental science class. I need to know that, by the way. I've got a normal start environmental science and a late start, very different schedules. So yeah, I'm in your late start environmental science. Ah, great. Which means now in email number 4, I can finally answer your question. Here's what we did. Here's what's going on. Which you shouldn't even have to ask. Mind you, you've got a tentative schedule. Go there first. 4 emails. Save yourself the time. Save me time. But just telling me who you are. Take 10 seconds of your life. I'm Bob P. Smith in your DLON late start environmental science class. I need help with this lab. Fantastic. Why don't we set up a Teams appointment so we can go over the lab? Beauty. No worries. So that really helps out. And then again, keep in mind that 20 to 48 hours idea. Okay, this is a little bit complex, so bear with me on this one. I'll try to be as direct as I can. This course is in essence 2 classes in one. It is environmental science lecture and environmental science lab, hence the moniker, the C. That means combination lecture lab. You're doing 2 things at once. So like I said earlier in this video, your exams comprise 2 things, your readings and your labs. Now, does this course satisfy your lab component? I have no idea. You have to go to your program, find out what they accept for a lab credit. Make sure you are in the right class. But assuming you're in the right class, so there's 2 things you have to do. First and foremost, go to your tentative schedule and find out what lab you're doing, what needs to be done. The second thing you do is you go to the lab manual and you read that lab. The third thing you do is right here. You go to the additionals lab and see if I posted any extra information. So let's go back to our files tab. So just to do it, click on files. There it is right there, additional labs. Now, why do I have this? This course was designed for face-to-face, meaning traditional courses. You're at Del Mabry campus, taking it with me right there at the college. So when this got redesigned for online, how do you do that? How do you take labs that use equipment and do that entirely in a virtual setting and do it safely, mind you? We can't just send you kits. 1, that's expensive, and 2, it could be dangerous. How do we do this? So this is really challenging, actually, redesigning everything from being face-to-face to virtual. Some of the labs transition nicely, which means they didn't need any extra help from me. Some labs do not. And those labs that do not, they needed extra help. That's why you see this. Notice lab 1 needed something. Lab 2 didn't, it's not here. Lab 3 needed something. Lab 4 needed something. Lab 5 did not. Lab 6 did. Lab 7 did. Some labs need extra help. Some labs don't. So again, start here. Go to that lab or the handout. I have a few handouts out there. Go to that lab. The handouts will be listed here, by the way, like lab 3, feeding niches. That's something that's more here. And read on it. And after you've read it over, then go here and look for anything additional. All right, now, technically speaking, lab 1 didn't need any extra help. The only reason I did this was twofold. So let's open up that lab. So here it is. 1, when I'm on campus, it's not unusual for the bookstore to kind of run out of copies. So in the first lab, I get plenty of students saying, well, I couldn't get a book yet. Okay, so I asked for permission to put the first lab online for you. And they said, yeah, sure, go ahead. First lab, no worries. So the first lab's here. all the other labs pretty much are here, except for a few handouts. I'll show you that in a minute, which means make sure you get the lab manual, please. Remember, lab manual from Mr. Klee, not his lecture notes. And so this is pretty direct, but because I already had it online for you, putting that extra stuff, I actually added this in. It was a fun little GIF that allows you to simulate what you would have done in class. So I put in a little extra information. So here's just, again, a little background stuff. And I'm reminding you to read the lab and the lab manual. And then here's that little GIF. So this is kind of fun. This is actually what you would have done on campus. You would have had a beaker. This is a freshwater plant. It's called Alodia. You can use other things, but we used Alodia. Temperature is important because that affects dissolved oxygen, and then a light source. So this is obviously replicating photosynthesis. Now you can play with the light source. So you can go from shaded to like full intensity. And that's kind of what you would have on a campus. This is called a gooseneck lamp, which means you can like adjust it, play with it. And so you can kind of bend the neck and get it close to the plant. That would replicate like bright. Or you can block the lamp, even just turn it off. And therefore that would have been shaded. And then you would have quite literally counted bubbles. It's a super exciting lab. So here you go. You can just push start, and there you go. You can see like little bubbles. Now this is shaded, so because it's shaded, you don't have many bubbles coming out. So I've had one bubble in 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds. Oh my gosh, 10 seconds. Do we get another bubble? And the lab shows you would do this for 60 seconds. You're going to do it 3 times, 60 seconds each. So let's see how long it takes to get a second bubble. Oh my. I hope we get one more. Obviously, this is all simulated, so hope we get one more then in 60 seconds. Now I'm just curious if we're going to get one. There we go. We finally got another bubble. Excellent. Okay. So you would have done this for the shaded. And then you would have done it another time. By the way, let's try that one more time, only because notice the temperature. Room temperature is what I think Mr. Klee wanted, and that's around here. So trying it again, you should get more bubbles this time. But let's try it again. Ooh, there it goes. If it wants to start, would be lovely. There it goes. All right, so we got one bubble. What was the other one? 29 seconds for 2 bubbles. So we'll see how the temperature affects it. Kind of cool. Looking for another bubble. There you go, another bubble. Only took 10 seconds. Fantastic. So sped up because of temperature. Again, temperature affects dissolved oxygen, that kind of idea. Sort of rates of photosynthesis, that kind of idea. Now you could choose luminosity. So you notice it in lumens. So let's make it nice and bright. See what we get this time. It's just bubbling away. Look at that. Oh my goodness gracious. So it's a way, again, that you could have replicated a photosynthetic event. So sorry. This is one part of Teams I do not like. It's just odd where they put the window. I don't know if you can see that bar that pops up, but it blocks all of my tabs. All right, so going back to the lab, notice I had the pages here. On the 3rd page, let's just flip over to that because you can read this on your own when you get to that lab. This is where you would have been collecting data. Well, on campus, yeah, so this is a page out of your lab manual. Notice you would have tested it 3 times. Each time is 60 seconds. So on the unshaded, it was just bubbling away, and you would say, all right, in 60 seconds, I got 20 bubbles. And in the shaded, in that 60 seconds, I got 10 bubbles, that kind of idea. What it calculated the average kind of idea. Now, because this is all being done virtually, in the supplemental instructions, I went ahead and gave you what's called canned data. No, this means fake data. I gave it to you. So you can take these numbers and plug it right into the data sheet. I accidentally closed that. Sorry about that. There you go. So you can just take those numbers and plug it right in here. So I gave you the data. Again, I'm trying to make this as workable as possible at home. And then you can use that to answer the questions that are in your lab manual. This is your homework, by the way, for the labs. Any questions found in the lab, that's your homework. And you'll turn in all the homework at once. We haven't got to the homework section yet, but we'll get there. So that was lab 1. Now notice lab 2 didn't need it. Lab 3 does. So there you go. Here's the lab itself. This is like a handout. And then there's my supplemental instructions. Lab 4 definitely needs it. Lab 6 definitely needs it. I actually made this a special lab. You'll see that in the homework. It's not different than another lab. There's just a lot of like parts to it. So it has a little bit heavier homework. So I made it a special grade. You'll just still turn it in on the first test, but I made it a special grade. I'm trying to give you as much help as I can through the term. This is a rock lab. So the same deal. It's just something that's further than what's in the syllabus. Not syllabus, the lab manual. So there's the actual handout. And then here's the additional lab. That kind of idea. So lab 1 needed it. Lab 2 did not. Lab 3 needed it. Lab 4 needed it. Lab 5 did not. And lab 6 and 7 did. So always start with the lab manual and then check here for those additional labs. Okay, let's go back to your syllabus. Okay, so focus here. So there it is, those additional labs. Make sure you always look there. Now this again is where it's a little bit of like parts moving sort of idea. How do you take a traditional on-campus class, in this case on-campus lab, and restructure it for home? Not easy. And then remember, you're doing 2 classes at once, a lecture class and a lab class. So just bear in mind, there's a lot of moving parts. This is one reason why I wanted you to have this orientation video. All right, so there's your post-it notes. Like I said, there's one of them right here. This is your first chapter. So all the lectures I would have given to you, all of the summaries then, are right here online, ready to go. So your first exam, for example, is over chapters 1 to 4 in the labs. These are the summaries again. So as I noted earlier, you do not need to send me an email saying what's on the test. What do I need to know? First, it says in your tentative schedule what's on the exam. But second, if it's on these PowerPoints and it's in the labs, you need to know it. So again, remember, like chapter 1, this is a summary. Even though it's 57 slides long, this is a summary of your chapter in your textbook. Okay, so those are your posted files. I'm making reference to the length here. Yes, they are long, but do not forget they are summaries. There's a lot more in your chapter. I've already weeded out everything I possibly can. Your homework. Your homework, again, consists of 2 things. The homework at the end of the modules and the questions in your labs. Now, there's a lot at the end of your modules. You are only required to do the environmental literacy quizzes. Just that. I recommend do other things. The more practice, the better for your exams, right? But this is the only thing you have to do and turn into me. Now, I am well aware that the answer to these should have been in your book. Now, as I mentioned earlier, last semester we had a big problem. The physical book had 0 answers, and I had no idea why. Even the author can't explain that to me yet. I'm still working with them. And the ebook only had like periodic answers. Some like question 1 might be answered, but 2 and 3 weren't. It doesn't make much sense. So I got permission from your author to post, collect your files, all the answers in Canvas. They're right here. Environmental literacy answers. Click on that. It wants to work. There it goes. Being a bit slow. So this is module 1. So chapter 1, module 1. Chapter 1, module 2. Chapter 2, module 1. These are the ones you have to worry about. And so if you click on it, these are the answers. So again, there's a lot more there than you need. Just go on down till you hit the environmental literacy questions, wherever they are. Gotta find it. It's kind of tiny when they write that, environmental literacy. I don't see it on this one. Some chapters have fewer questions than others. Just depends on the chapter. Where's this chapter? I'm not seeing it, of course. Ah, there it is. Didn't go down far enough. Sorry about that. So all this extra stuff, I'm not requiring you to do. Like I said, you only have to do the environmental literacy questions. And so these are the answers there. Now, obviously you have the answers. So what am I looking for in your homework? I'm using your homework to get you ready for the exams on the textual stuff, the lecture stuff. So what I recommend, you've read your chapter, you've read the PowerPoints, you've asked any questions. Now get to the end of the module, go to the environmental and just try to answer the question. Just try. Don't look back in your book. Don't look back in your notes. Just try. If you get the question right, beauty, move on with your life. If you get it wrong, write out why you got it wrong. And once you find the right answer out, why did you get it wrong? Did you not read it correctly? Did you misunderstand? Did you need to ask questions, forgot to do so? Whatever it is. You are not getting graded. You are not getting graded on what you get right and wrong. I'm grading on the old college effort. As long as you try all the questions, you get all the points. You have to turn it in, of course, but get all the points. I'm just using the homework to get you ready for the exams. So there should be no stress in this. Just do the environmental literacy questions, do the questions at the end of the labs, and then turn it in. Now, how do you turn it in? I suggested just type up your answers and email it to me. When is it due? By 11:59 on the day of the exam. You'll see the dates of the exam in your tentative schedule. You can turn it in early if you wish. That's fine. Do not turn it in late. Remember, in college, late work is not accepted, except under extenuating circumstances. And these are the general ones. These are the most common ones. Now, if something else is happening and it's extenuating, which means you can validate it in writing, talk to me. I'll be happy to work with you if I can. But these are the most common things that come up. Heaven forbid, death in the family, hospitalization. That means your hospitalization usually could be a family member. If it's really impacting you, and you get a note from that doctor who's helping your like mom, dad, brother, sister, I don't care, and it's affecting you, send me that note. I will work with you. Jail, jury summons. Make sure you tend to that. Military duty. Yeah, again, I'll work with you. But it's got to be in writing. A note from your doctor, not just, well, I was sick that day. I'm sorry to hear that. But you have to do your job properly. It is due on the day of the exam. And I'm giving you till 11:59 p.m., which is effectively midnight, but 11:59 p.m. Now, I just recommended typing it up in Word, but I get all sorts of stuff. I get people that write it out on notebook paper and like take a picture of it and then email it to me from the HC address. I get people that do it in Word. I've had some do it in Excel and send me the Excel file. I don't care. I really don't care. As long as you send it from your HCC email to my HCC email by the time it's due, you are good. And again, I'm grading on effort. I'm trying to take away the stress of a homework grade. Don't worry about that. And homework's worth a lot. It's like 20% of your real world grade, so that you have even that much better of a chance of doing well on your exams and well on the homework. Okay, so moving on then. Discussion boards. Like I said, every Friday, pretty much. Some Fridays I won't do this because of exams, but generally on Fridays I'm going to put out a topic to talk about. So for example, I already have one out for you. Let's get this out of the way. We don't need that anymore. So back on Canvas, there's your discussion link. Click on that. Now, I have nothing pinned, so no worries. It's always open for some reason. I close it every time, but it's always open. Now notice you won't see this. So right now you probably can't see it until June 3rd. I'm giving you a couple of days to kind of settle into the course. But on June 3rd, this will open up. Here's going to be your first discussion. So I'm giving you a little bit of a summary of what's going on, what you should be doing, that kind of idea. And then there you go, the discussion of the week. You have I usually put this out on Friday at 5 p.m. I'm kind of getting you to the end of the week. And I leave it open until usually Thursday at 5 p.m. So you have like 6 full days to just chime in. There's really no way to get this wrong. The only thing I require is be civil. Somebody might say something you don't agree with. Fine, happens all the time in life, right? Be polite about it. Well, okay, I appreciate your position, but here's what I feel and why. Try to back up your stuff. I didn't have many links here, but I'm on some of these topics. I've already got them all written out. And I've got like 50 links in one topic where I'm vetting what I've said and I'm backing up by citing sources. I always cite sources when I need to. In this case, it wasn't required, but I'm always citing sources. And then you just talk. Here's what I think, like right there, I'm asking a question. There, you can say question mark there and a question mark there. I'm asking questions. I want you to talk about it. Just chime in. And then the task, again, for you and your colleagues, is to comment on each other's comments. Well, all right, Mr. or Ms. Smith, I saw what you said. I agree with it, or I don't agree with because of. Be polite again. And just talk to each other. Help each other to work through topics in environmental science. This should help get you ready for your exams. I'm sure you saw a lot of those answers in the environmental literacy quizzes are like short answers. Yes, they want you to think. Sure. So talk to each other. I will watch these. I'll be using it for attendance and I'll be using it for chiming in when I have to, if I have to chime in. But you need to do this. Again, HCC is requiring it, so please do so. And check on this on Fridays again. And you have till those Thursdays to get it done. All right, there we go. Now, as I noted, this is a Gordon Rule class. This is designed by the college. This wasn't me saying, yeah, let's do a Gordon Rule. HCC, USF, whomever it is, has to sit down and decide what classes will be Gordon Rule or not. Now, why do we even have this? If you are not familiar with Gordon Rule, that typically means one of two things. You either new to college or you're new to college in Florida. Either way, welcome. Because before I came to Florida, I had never seen this. So here's my understanding of what happened. Way back when a senator, Senator Gordon, decided that college students were coming out woefully unprepared with mathematics and writing ability. Now, no matter what you think, Senator Gordon was right about one thing. No matter where you go and what you do, you will always be graded on how you write and how you talk. It's just how humans work. Sorry about that. That includes emails, by the way. Read them over before you send them. So math was easy. They just had to sit down and say, all right, for this degree, go to this math. Whatever it was, college algebra, pre-calc, calc 1, whatever it was. Okay. Writing was more difficult. And effectively, it really came down to two choices. Either make you take English 3, which might not have been a bad idea, or what they chose, writing across the curriculum. Now, I think, why they did this. It's good to be exposed to different ways writing is done. Not all fields are the same. Here's the problem. I am not an English professor. Remember, you need to go to the writing center for the writing part of this. You're just sending me the final work. Second, what exactly are we supposed to teach you? Different fields can have radically different ways to write. So let's talk about science, and even then let's talk about biology. So if I'm going to write a paper for a journal, so let's say I want to publish something in, the Journal of Ecology. All right, to do that, I go do my research, I collect my data, that kind of idea. I think it's worthy of publication. I have to go and get an issue of the Journal of Ecology. And in that journal, they're going to have a page that says instructions to authors, which is telling me how to format my paper. You have to format it this way and cite it this way and section head it this way. They tell us what to do. It is not like this. It is not APA or MLA like in formatting. It's got nothing to do with that. They have their way they want it done. And so I format it how that journal wants it, send it in, and hope to goodness it's published. Let's say it's not unusual. They come back and say, well, all right, so maybe I go somewhere else. Instead of the Journal of Ecology, maybe I go off to the Journal of Marine Biology and Ecology, entirely different journal. I now have to go to that new journal's instruction to author and read what they want. And that might require me to entirely reformat the paper, everything, including how I cite it. Everything has to be redone. That's how that journal wants it. Welcome to science. Welcome to biology. So what exactly are we supposed to teach you? This is tough. So in a class like this, it really comes down to one of two things. Do I have you do essay exams? Now, I used to. They're not much fun for two reasons. One, there are a lot of students that don't like essay exams. Some love them, some don't like them. And two, it takes forever to grade them. I do not know, even to this day, I've been teaching in college for decades. I don't know how English teachers grade these things so fast. I just don't get it. My guess would simply be they're very good at their field. They know it very well. They can get through it pretty fast. But remember, I'm not an English professor. So, wow, my hat is off to them. And then getting grades back to you could take forever. So a long time ago, I decided, yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I have multiple choice tests, true, false, that kind of idea for my exams. We haven't gotten to examinations, but you'll see that in a minute. And so I went away from essay exams, which pretty much left just a paper to write. But again, I'm not an English teacher, so I thought, well, what's the most user-friendly thing I can do while still following state law? And this is what I decided to do. Between now and your turn date, you can see it there, the 6th of July, you have to find 2 articles that relate to each other and then write about them. You need to give me a summary of the articles. Now, that might seem a little high schoolish, but it's not actually. For a lot of scientists, the hardest part of a paper to write is the abstract. Well, an abstract's a summary. It's really challenging to take all this science and crush it down into a paragraph or 2. That is not easy. So you're practicing that. I would like your views on the article. Now, by this time, this is an accelerated class. You're already through like half the class at least. You should be able to articulate your position based on the science. Now, that's comparing, contrasting, and then giving your thoughts. Articulate your position. Now, with this last part, your thoughts, you can't get that wrong. I am not going to read that and say, oh my God, you think that? F for you. Of course not. That's just ridiculous. They're your thoughts, but they should be well reasoned. You should be able to think it through as you're comparing and contrasting and then giving your views on the articles. What do you like? What do you not like after you've compared and contrasted them? Now, the department came back and said, we would like for you to do something, not me, but professors, something a bit heavier. So there you go, a standard college paper. And then you can choose whatever citation you want. Remember, there's really no AP or MLA in science. It doesn't work that way. So knock yourself out. You can do whatever one of these you like. I don't care. Now, some students way back when said, well, you weren't specific enough. How do you want it formatted? Okay, so hopefully this is specific enough for you. You have to type it, double spaced, Times New Roman font, size 12, 1-inch margins. How's that for specificity? Again, that was years ago, but I've always kept it in my syllabus. When you're done with it, either before or by the due date, July 6th by 11:59 p.m., just email me your work from your HSC email to my HSC email, and you're done. Now, this also came up a few semesters ago, 3-4 semesters ago now. I was kind of floored by one of the students, so I added this into my syllabus. They were really grumpy with me that I didn't give them a topic. Are you kidding me? Are you in high school or are you in college? By now in college, you should be able to figure out a topic on your own. Now, what I did then is I gave you general subject areas. So you have to find a paper that relates to environmental science. That's your only criterion. It has to relate to environmental science. But I don't care what area it is. So I gave you some choices: astrobiology, bacteriology, biochemistry, biophysics, biotech, botany, cell bio, ecology, evolutionary biology, genetics, histology, invert zoo, medical science, nutrition, general zoo, mycology, phycology, physiology, vert zoo, virology. There are a lot of areas of biology. I don't care what you choose, as long as it relates to environmental science. So for example, before I started this video, I plopped onto Google and just off the top of my head, I plugged in environmental science and mycology. It took me all of 0.34 seconds to get 4,240 results. Fantastic. It took me 0.34 seconds to get these results and all of like 5 seconds to type that into the subject title, to the title bar. Just gotta find 2 papers that tickle your fancy. So why not? Earth would be unrecognizable without fungi. Cool. Why? Go read the paper. Beyond flora and fauna. Why it's time to include fungi in global conservation goals. Outstanding. That's actually interesting. I might come back and read that. Researchers discovered drug-resistant environmental molds. Ooh, that's a bit scary. Happens all the time, but ooh, okay. So again, great topic. West Virginia University alums earn prestigious National Science Foundation research. It's in environmental engineering. That's perfectly applicable to this class. I haven't read the paper yet, but sure, maybe you want to go into engineering. Go tickle your fancy. There's another WVU, so probably something similar. Reset revives the magic of mycology. Cool. Yeah, there's a lot you can do with mycology. Environmental science, bioremediation issues, for example, all the way down to medicine. Mycology is amazing. For cheap, healthful meal, try foraging in Southwest somewhere. So, okay, eating fungus. Do humans eat fungus? Well, I do. I like mushrooms. Granted, you got to know your mushroom, right? So, like a shiitake mushroom or something like that. I used to love getting like portobello mushroom sandwich. What was that? Ruby Tuesdays. Oh my goodness, I haven't had that in forever. I don't even know where there is a Tuesday Ruby anymore. Ruby Tuesdays anymore. But oh my God, did I love that portobello mushroom sandwich they used to have? Oh, it was fantastic. So yeah, people eat some fungus. Again, know your fungi, yeah? So again, there's tons of papers here, tons of them. So we could find 2 papers that relate to each other. Here's another subject. Again, I just thought of one off the top of my head. Environmental science and nuclear energy, right? Good one, in my opinion. Again, you could choose whatever you like. But the environmental impacts of nuclear waste, that's a big one. Analysis, how fear of nuclear power supports Putin. Okay, interesting topic. 5 things to know about nuclear power in California. Alrighty, do we have any nuclear power plants in Florida? Japan, okay's plan to release Fukushima nuclear power wastewater. That's huge. Interesting. Can algae power computers? A new study says that it's most likely going to be possible. I've heard of this before. In my nerdy opinion, be proud of being a nerd, by the way. There's nothing wrong with that. And by the way, nerds and geeks are different. Nothing wrong with being a geek, by the way, from my opinion, whatever that's worth. But still, as I tell my majors, be proud in your nerdiness. So to me, this is just absolutely outstanding and cool. That would be just a ton of fun, in my opinion, to write about. Climate scientists to state, where's the nuclear power? All right, so let's go see what they're talking about. USA funds nuclear coupled carbon capture study. Interesting. 835 million in contractor hands after utility regulators approved something. Again, there's tons of papers out there. Go and find something that you are interested in. I do not want to give you a topic mainly because A, you should be able to do this on your own, and B, I want it to be a topic you have interest in. I remember when I was like in secondary school, I hated when a teacher said, you are going to do it on this. Man, really? Okay. So I'm saving you that pain. Remember, you need 2 papers that relate to each other. They have to relate to environmental science and just do these things. Now, a few notes. This has to be a published paper. You can get it from a .edu, a .gov, or mainstream media. I remember I just put that in my syllabus and people are like, what's mainstream media? Okay, so it's like ABC News, CBS News, CNN, Fox News, NBC News. Those are mainstream medias. Now, generally speaking, a .edu, a .gov, those are generally considered unbiased. Now, you still got to watch out for biases. Always be on guard from that. But if I go to like nasa.gov, I'm not thinking there's going to be a lot of bias there. I've never really remember seeing it from there. I still keep a guard on it just because that's got reflex, but it's generally considered reputable. A .gov, CDC would be on that, and NIH would be on that. A .edu, if I have a professor at USF that wrote a paper and they have it online for you to read, that's generally considered to be reputable. But remember what he said about even published papers. I teach my majors to think their way through published research. Don't ever make the assumption just because it's published, it must be correct. Don't do that. Now, we would hope there's no bias there, especially in science, but don't do that. When you get to mainstream media, however, it's not unusual to find biases. So, for example, CNN, not always, but tends to lean left. Now, have I seen right-leaning papers on CNN? Sure I have. Fox News tends to lean right. Have I seen left-leaning papers on Fox News? Sure, I have. So again, first off, don't stereotype. But second, be aware of bias. They're always out there. So again, be note of that. ABC News, be note of it. CBS News, NBC News, be aware of it. Other countries' papers, be aware of it. I was just reading an article before I came in here from the Irish Times. There's a big deal going on there right now. Brexit. You might have thought, oh, Brexit, I haven't heard about in a while. Isn't that over? No, it's not over. And right now, it looks like England, the United Kingdom generally, but this is more down towards Parliament, not from what Scotland's doing or Wales. But it looks like Boris Johnson is going to break the Good Friday Agreement. That is a big, big deal. So I was reading the article from the Irish Times. Now, I'm not suspecting bias, but I should always think about it. Of course I should. It's just the way it is. I was listening to RTE Radio 1. It's a radio station out of the Republic of Ireland, not Northern Ireland. And I don't know, a week or two ago, when I chimed in, it was right at the end of a segment. And they were talking about how in the United States, they were particularly talking about the United States. In this case, you can go to a pub here, go in and order an Irish car bomb. It's a drink. That is an incredibly insulting drink to anybody from Ireland. You can't get more insulting. If I might give you a little bit of a pro tip, if you go to Ireland, don't ever go into a pub and try to order that drink. That will not go well for you. Don't do it. You cannot be more insulting. And so they were talking about that and how angry they are about this, and rightly so. So I was hearing about that, and it pained me greatly hearing that this is still going on, even in 2022. So I chimed in. I said, look, I'm in the United States right now. And yeah, it happens. It's unfortunate, but I wanted them to know that I don't let people get away with it. That if I go into a pub and I see that they're offering that drink, I bring that attention to the pub. Let them know how inappropriate the drink is and how they shouldn't do it. And let them know I'm leaving and I'm never coming back while you're having that drink on your menu. Now, personally, for what it's worth, I don't drink. But pubs sometimes have great food, especially when you're looking for like Irish food or something. So, but if I see it on the menu, I'm out the door. I won't come back. So I let them know this. And they didn't listen to me. They didn't want to hear it. They didn't want to hear that somebody in America was actually fighting for that to stop. The raging discussion of the day was, this is going on, we're mad. That's a bias-y. I wasn't trying to just go against a bias-y. I was letting them know, hey, this is what I actually do. I'm somebody here in the US that's actually fighting against that practice because it's such an insulting practice. It's culturally very insensitive. But they didn't want to hear it. Okay. That is an example of a huge bias-y. And they were throwing that bias-y at me. They didn't want to listen to me. Okay, no arguments happened. They just didn't pay any attention to me. Okay, their choice. I said my two moments and wished everybody a good day and continued on my way. I just wanted to chime in and say, hey, not everybody tries to insult you, but that's still a bias-y. Now that's an online news source, mind you. That was a radio news, but still be aware. Biases are out there. Always be aware. So keep it in mind here. Now this has to be published for your Gordon Rule. You can't watch a movie or say, I talked to this doctor or this nurse or the scientist. No, those are anecdotes. Don't do that. Now, by all college policy, you can't turn anything late. And by state law, this is state law. This is not my law. This is the state of Florida. If you do not pass the Gordon Rule, you do not pass the class. Doesn't matter what you've done on the course. You can have all A's on the exams, turn in all your homework. If you fail the Gordon Rule, you fail the course. It's that simple. We just had a discussion in one of the committee meetings, I don't know, a week or two ago. And they were reminding everybody, you should fail them if they don't do the Gordon Rule, if they don't pass it. I understand. Now, granted, I made this as user-friendly as I could. If you just find 2 articles that relate and do these things, you will get all the points. We're just doing the state law. So this should be about as user-friendly as it gets. Just don't forget to do it and don't turn in late. Okay, we finally made it to examinations. Whew, welcome to a 16-page syllabus. Again, specificity and being thorough. I want you to know exactly what's going on with this course in the semester. So examinations. There will be 3 exams in the course, and like I said earlier, there will be multiple choice. You'll be taking them through Canvas quizzes. So if you go to Canvas, right there, it says quizzes. Now, right now, they're there for you. You can't access them. I can, and this is obviously the teacher view. But notice this is not available until, not available until, not available until. These are actually your test dates, which you'll see in your tentative schedule. June 30th, July 13th, and July 25th. I was trying to give about 2 weeks in between all of your exams. And this is the last day of the summer for everybody, pretty much. for the normal timed courses. There are some courses that might go into August, actually. I've had that happen before, but most classes don't. So you'll be doing this through Canvas quizzes. Now, when you do that, Canvas mandates, they require that you take all of the quizzes and exams through a formal desktop or laptop. You cannot use a phone. You cannot use an iPad, nothing like that. Even if you say, well, wait a minute, Canvas is right there. You can see it on my iPhone or my iPad. I don't know, my wife has an Android. You can see it right there. It's not going to work. Sorry, the quizzes don't work. So you have to do it on a formal desktop or laptop, and you must use Google Chrome. That's simply the way it is. This comes right from Canvas Tech Support, right from them. And by the way, if you're taking the exam, like I said earlier, I can't help you with tech issues, which means you got to go to Canvas Technical Support. Notice how I'm mentioning this question mark help. So if you're on your main Canvas page, scroll down. It's right there. This will link you to Canvas Technical Support. So if you're in the middle of a test and something's happening, you can't send me a message saying, oh, help me. I can't help you. There's no computer I can go into and try to figure out what the tech issue is. I don't have those privileges. No professor I know of does. Tech support can help you. Now, bear in mind, some things are out of control, some things are not. So for example, if you claimed a power outage, internet outage has happened, you better verify it. I have caught students cheating, saying my power went out. That can be checked. Canvas quizzes hiccuped. Canvas made an error. That can be checked. And they failed. They failed because they're cheating. They're lying. If you cheat, you fail the course. You're done. So if you just lied, I'm going to give you 0 on the test. If you actually cheated, you failed the course. You're done. Don't do it. You're an adult and or college student. Do it properly. Now, I've set up the days of your test. You can do the homework whenever you like. They're due on the day of the test. I've given you dates for labs, but those are suggestions. They're just the homework of it is just due on the day of the test. But the tests themselves, those are formal dates, not budging, unless something happens like a hurricane. Yeah, right. I'll come back to that one. Now, on the day of the test, I have set the test open to open at 9 a.m. You can see right there and close at 11:59 p.m. You could take it whenever you want during that time on that day, but whenever you start the test, you're getting exactly 1 hour and 40 minutes, the same amount of time the students on campus get. So let's say you start at 9 a.m. Great, you get until 10:40 to finish it. End of story. You can't start and stop. You get one shot at it. You start at noon. You get until 1:40. Great. Here's when you wouldn't get that. If you start later than 10:19 p.m., all tests are scheduled to close at 11:59. You won't be giving yourself an hour and 40 minutes, and I cannot extend it past 11:59 p.m. So make sure you're not shooting yourself in your foot. Don't start it at 10:30 and expect to get an hour and 40 minutes. You won't get it. And that's particularly true if you have a disabilities and the disabilities office says you get extra time for a test. So let's say for the disabilities, you get 3 hours. You better be starting like at 9 a.m. so you can finish at noon. You better be starting by like 8:30 p.m. to be finishing by 11:59 p.m. That kind of idea, yeah? So again, don't get in your own way. As I was just kind of noting with disabilities, I'm fine with whatever form I get from HCC, but it has to come from them. By state law, I cannot do something like extend test time unless it comes from the HCC Disabilities Office. You can't say, oh, I need 3 hours for a test. Fine. Go to disabilities, talk to them. They will send me documentation. I've received none so far for the semester. All classes for the summer, I've received 0. So right now, everybody gets an hour and 40 minutes. My exams are generally 50 to 100 questions long. If you don't like it, find another class. It's that simple. You will get the questions one at a time on Canvas. You can't go back. If you don't like it, find another class. You know that now. There is no reason to get grumpy about it later on. Sorry. There are reasons why this is happening. By the way, there's so much information on just the book, let alone the post-it notes. This could easily be twice this, easily. But I'm trying to make it fair. You've done all that study. If I had less than 50 questions, that's not fair to you. And then by having a longer test, I can actually stick in extra credit. So I'm being as fair as I can to you. Longer tests are actually more beneficial to a student than shorter tests. Think your way through this, folks. And then, like I said, if you want to go over exams, make that Teams appointment, and I'll be happy to sit down with you and go over a test. Remember, no makeup tests are given. It's standard college policy, except outside of this. You can, in writing, verify why you missed an exam. And if one is allowed, if I think it's a good reason, something has happened, like heaven forbid again, you're in the hospital or something, then it's my prerogative to give you an oral exam. You're getting extra time to prepare for a test. That is not fair to your classmates. An oral exam is harder than a written test, like a multiple choice test I have. So again, think your way through this. If you screw up, it's on you. You are adults. You are college students. Okay, grading. I use a weighted system. You can see your points here. Exam is worth 20%, exam 1 worth 20%, exam 2 20%, exam 3 20%. Gordon rules were 20%. That is a huge gift to you. I made your Gordon rule worth a lot so that this paper you write means something to you. The state is making us do it. You might as well get good points for it. As long as you do those few things I have in the syllabus, you're going to get all the points. This should be easy to get done. And then look at your homework. Your homework, all the homework together is worth 20%. Your homework means a lot. And like I explained earlier, I grade on effort. You have the answers. They're posted on Canvas right now. They should be in your book, which means I'm not grading on what you get right and wrong. I'm grading on your effort. Don't flub this. This is huge. Again, this is a gigantic gift to you. Now, I noted to you biological diversity. Let's go back to your files. Biological diversity is your fourth lab, if I remember correctly. Yeah, fourth lab, biological diversity. It's really no different than other labs, except there's just more to it. Had you done this in the Del Mabry campus, the lab department would have had like 70 specimens, literally, set out for you to deal with. That's a lot of work. So because this lab happens to have a lot of work in it, I elected to give you extra points for that. That's the only reason why I separated it out, just so I can give you some extra points for it. That's all. I'm trying again to be nice to you. So there you go. There's your breakdown. Now I've given you an example. This is a fake student in a fake environmental science class. And with this fake student, I'm showing you how the grades would have worked. So for this fake student, let's say on test 1, they got 63 out of 70 points. It's fake, but it shows you how the system works. So they got a 90% on that first test, which means that 90% is worth 20% of the grade. Remember, test 1 is worth 20% of your grade. Exam 2, they got 72 points out of 84 points. They got an 86.9% of the test. So they had 86.9% is 20% of the grade. Great. There's exam 3. There's their Gordon rule. Here's their homeworks. Notice on the Gordon rule, I didn't give them all the points. I'm just highlighting. Maybe they forgot like a literature cited or something like that. So I knocked off a few points, that kind of idea. Remember, do those few things I have in the syllabus, you're good to go. So at the end of the day, here's how it worked out. Again, 90%, 20% of the grades. There you go. 20% of the grade was a 90%. 86.9 was 20% of the grade. 86.9 was 20% of the grade, and so forth. You tally it all up, and there you go. There's your points in the class right there, which sums up to 89.9. Now, I purposely gave this fake student in a fake class an 89.9 so I can highlight how rounding works. I'm a scientist. I like mathematics, so I follow the rules of mathematics. Other teachers can do whatever they want in their class, but I'm following the rules of math, which means I'm making my grades as objective as I can. So if I can round up, I'm going to. So in your overall grade, if you got an 89.5 to 100, I'm going to give you an A. So this student had 89.9, that rounds to 90. They get an A in the class. Great fake job. Beauty. So 89.5 to 100 is an A in the course. 79.5 to 89.4 is a B, obviously. Then there's your C's, D's, and F's. By doing this way, it is objective. It is not subjective. In all of my many years of teaching, I never remember once, not once, a student saying, they got an A and I got a B. That's not fair. No one has ever said that to me because I don't grade subjectively. Now, remember, this is math. If you get an 89.4, I cannot round up. This was 89.9. I could round it up. I can't here. And so, you get that. We'll cry together. How about that? But I mean that seriously. Happened to 3 students I remember last semester. One guy, for example, 69.3. Wrote me an email right after the course had ended. He got the grade. The grade was online. Can I do anything to get an A? No. Sorry, I can't. He was asking for extra credit assignments. I cannot do that. 1, because the class is over. And 2, I cannot give you an extra credit assignment and to nobody else. That is not fair to your classmates. I'm not going to be unfair to your classmates. And then on top of that, this student, although I reminded him of this, but I still follow the rules. But I reminded him, you know what? If you had wanted to get a better grade, maybe you should have come by office hours at some time during the semester to ask questions. Maybe you should have gone over any exam during the term. That might help you get the extra points you needed to get to a better grade. They didn't do that. Now, that has no bearing on me rounding up. I was following the rules of mathematics. And particularly, I wanted to be fair, not just to him, but to his classmates. And it would not have been fair to his classmates had I given that student extra points and nobody else. It's not going to happen. Sorry. Another one was for a C. Actually, two of them. It was for a C. I gave him the same answer. No, you can't do that. And for both those students, by the way, it was the same thing. They didn't bother to come by during the semester once, go over test once. If you're not doing an effort, especially when you're doing poor in a class, you're missing out on points. Now, granted, that had no bearing on my answer to them. My answer was solely based off of how math works, on top of the fact that it's not fair to give them extra points when I'm not giving it to their classmates. That's how I based my answer. But I did remind them, in your future classes, you might want to put out a little effort. It will help you so you're not even in this position. Remember, you cheat, you're done. It's that simple. And I have caught students even online cheating. Now, this is more for being on campus, being in a regular class. I guess at best, this would happen for us in like a team session, but in a team session, it wouldn't matter. But cell phones, page recorders are just not necessary. As for recording, if you're in a class, there's state law. This last bullet, that's state law, how recordings work. Had you taken me in a D-Live-C class or a traditional course, of course, I'd follow that. Talking in class, again, that's not really for me. I'm just putting it in there so you know how being on campus works. If you're doing this, say in a hallway at HEC, please be respectful to your other classes, or for your classmates and the teachers. Extra credit, you'll see it on your exams. It's our discretion to put extra credit on the test. There will be extra credit on the test. You should never go to a teacher and say, you're going to give me this. Like those students in the term saying, I need more extra credit. No, you're not going to get it. It's not fair to your classmates. It's just that simple. This is another reason, by the way, why I have longer tests, so I can put extra credit on it. Announcements, like I said earlier, make sure you're checking them every day. Even on non-class days, please don't forget, even weekends, things happen. Important notes, this class is almost perfect for me. My background is ecology, zoology, and geology. Now, environmental science is not the same thing as ecology. It's not. Ecology is just a science. Environmental science is a combination of ecology and politics. Now, bear that in mind. I had a student, I don't know, about a year and a half ago, something like that, who got really mad after the first lecture. So that class actually had lectures. And I was talking about politics and environmental science, all sorts of stuff. They got really angry at me. And effectively, the crux of their argument was science should be apolitical. And they were taking a science class to get away from politics. That is not how humans work, let alone science, lamentably. Take NASA. Do you know who actually owns NASA? Not just the US government. NASA, like NOAA, is actually controlled by the Department of Commerce. Think about that for a second. Does that mean politics will affect what they do? You betcha. The CDC, the NIH, who owns them? Now, we scientists try to do just science, but humans are humans. And then on top of that, politics are always there, especially when the government agency not only owns you, but gives you money. Bear that in mind. So environmental science is kind of unique in that regard. I am not an environmental scientist. My master's was ecology. But this course is just filled with ecology, so it's great in that regard. It also has a fair amount of geology and a fair amount of zoology. Lab 4, by the way, that diversity lab, is pretty much all zoology. I mean, there's some botany in there too. But so that's me. What I am not a medical doctor. So don't ever make me out to be one. This happens more on lecture classes, like when I have actually live lectures, than online, specifically here at DLon. But not uncommonly, we'll be talking about whatever it is, and I get a student who tries to ask their medical questions and needs. That's not appropriate. If you have your own medical needs, you should go find a board-certified medical doctor. Remember, if you're absent from class, meaning you've like gone for a week or two, I would never know that, of course, because it's fully online. But if you've been gone for a while, you're not sure what's going on, you can ask me. But what I recommend, start with, look over the syllabus, go back in your book, go back in your notes, then ask me questions. I've had some students, particularly again in traditional, where they come back to class after like 2 weeks and they expect like some packet to be waiting for them they've been doing. No, that's high school. That is not college. As I noted earlier, if you have disabilities, you must talk to them first before you can ever have anything done like extra test time or whatever that might be. This is state law. So you can't say, I need X, Y, and Z for the course or the test until you talk to them. Again, you can't come to say, I need 3 hours for an exam. Fine. but I can't do anything by state law until you go to the office here. I've given you all their contact information. Here it is. They're very nice people. They will help you out. Then they will send out documents to the professor. So I'll get a notice from them saying, for this student, here's what needs to be done. Great, no problem. I've got zero issue with it. Zero. But I need that form first. These next two bullets kind of go hand in hand. I know we're almost done. These kind of go hand in hand. This is actually quite amazing. This one's a little bit scarier, but this one's actually quite amazing. Oops. Oh, didn't mean to click on the link. Sorry about that. Hey, the link works. What do you know? Get back to where I was. Okay, so what this is noting is mental health services. You should be aware that in a country like the United States, it is now considered a mark of health. Health, when you speak to somebody when you need to. And goodness knows, for almost every human out there, there's going to come a time when you need to talk to somebody. We live in a pretty messed up world. Again, my window's right there. We live in a pretty messed up world. Things just happen. And so whatever it is, school, money, relationships, work, it doesn't matter what it is. HCC has contracted with Baycare, there it is right there, to give you free professional counseling services. This is incredible that a community college has this and it's free. Even with insurance outside of a place like a college or university, this could be massively expensive. I'll give you an example. A very good friend of mine, I have nothing but oodles of respect for her. She's, as we speak right now, at her third inpatient center. She's been there for almost 2 months now. In her case, it's for pill addiction. And so when I met her, she was going in for her first time. Her first time, it was a couple of years ago when I met her. She stayed at that first center, I think it was like 2 weeks, something like that. She came out of that saying, yeah, that first center she went to charged her $130,000 US. What? I'm a teacher. I am roughly $130,000 away from being able to afford that $130,000. I could never do it. I could never do it. Now, I never asked her how she generated the money, her family, nothing. I mean, she's a good friend of mine, but I would never ask that. That's too personal. She's on her third inpatient center as we speak. And the one she is currently at, she's been there like 2 months now. Oh my. But that being said, she's getting the help she needs, not just so that she lives. I mean that seriously, but legality issues as well. She was addicted to pills. So she's doing everything she can to save her life. I, again, have nothing but oodles of respect for her. I would never judge her. That's what this is for, folks. Last semester, several students came to me and asked for help. Now, this is there as well. We also have counselors at the college. And so once in particularly, we did send them some counselors at HCC. Generally speaking, I can't tell you specifics, of course, but in this case, the student was overwhelmed with what's going on in life, particularly as the war in Ukraine and Russia was outbreaking, and he needed to talk to somebody. That's what this is for. We will help you. You've just got to talk to us. Now, connect this with the second bullet. Speak Up HCC. This is designed to keep you and everybody at HCC safe. So if you hear of somebody that's threatening themselves, threatening you, threatening the college, whatever it is, talk to us. Talk to these people. This is meant to help them. I'll give you one case. This actually happened in a class of mine. There was a student, it was actually environmental science. He wasn't threatening me. That's what I was told at least. But he was threatening both the college and the math and science dean directly. Now, I found out a little bit. Again, I can't tell you anything specific, of course. But I found out only because he was in the class. I didn't know what to do. You know, grades, he was just gone. And they only told me he was schizophrenic. I didn't ask, but they told me he was schizophrenic and he was not taking his medicine and it was going very poorly for him. So once he was threatening the college and himself and the dean, HCC stepped in, got him the help he needed. He was gone for like a semester or two, and then he came back. I saw him on campus one day and he was doing great. That's what it's for, to help that student, get them what they need, but keep them, you, your colleagues, and the college safe. It works. Don't ever abuse this in any way, shape, or form, but it works. Okay, in any course you take, including mine, it should be a comfortable, inviting environment. You should never feel out of place based on things like race, color, gender, religion, national origin, age, disability, sexual orientation, marital status, gender identity. That should never come up. Any of these, gender expression, none of these should ever come up. If anything is ever happening, talk to us. I have had to deal with this. It wasn't for my class. It was a student in my class that was getting assaulted by their significant other, and they came to us for help. We are here to help. Remember, syllabi, even a 16-page one, is not meant to be all-inclusive. Like I saw that one date error. I will go back and correct that. This should already be corrected by the time you're watching this video. So if I see anything, I'll let you know. Last but pretty much not least, your tentative schedule. Right, so it's tentative for a good reason. Life happens. So we have our first test coming up. There he is. You can see it on June 30th. Let's say on June 30th, I don't know, Hurricane X is roaring into Tampa. Okay. I am not requiring you to find a computer and take a test on June 30th in the middle of a hurricane. We are going to adjust the dates. Thank you very much. Hence a tentative schedule. So for things like, I don't know, pandemic, fires, storms, terrorist threats, they happen. Get that hawk alert and burr alert. I've never seen anything at HEC, but I do remember seeing a number of things for USF, more like shooter on campus, especially Tampa campus. I don't know what's going on. I haven't had a bull alert in a while now, but when I had it, oh my. My wife actually got caught in one of these at the library, the Tampa campus library. She got caught in a lockdown there. She couldn't get out of there for hours when she was in grad school. Whew. Get those alerts. Emergencies, all sorts of things can happen, which could cause an adjustment to our scheduling. But generally speaking, welcome to your first day. Welcome, welcome. Again, your quiz will be on June 7th. I'll change that in the beginning part of the syllabus. Sorry about that again. The email from you has to get to me by June 9th. Again, I'll change that date as well. Now, the dates for your labs, like I mentioned, these are just suggestions. You could do what you like, but the labs, and then for their homework, just like the homework in your modules in your book, have to be submitted to me by the day of your test. So they need to be done by the 30th of June. I don't care when you do them. These are just suggestions to spread it out, but it has to be done by June 30th. And again, I told you earlier in the syllabus by 11:59 p.m. Not just that, I'm telling you what your test is on, chapters 1 to 4, your labs 1 to 4. And I even wrote out what the chapters are on. So you can't write to me and say, I don't know what the test is on. Oh, yes, you do. There's your second exam, same deal, and when it's due, and your last exam. We only have one lab by that point. It just kind of thins down, becomes more on lecture stuff. And then what your test is on. This is a last day class. Remember, all homework is due by, again, the same day by 11:59 p.m. And then last but not least in your syllabus, these are the questions I get over and over and over and over again. So I wrote out of an FAQ. Before you write me an email wasting your time, read here. Read the syllabus first off. I still get so many questions. It's right there in the syllabus. It saves you time. It saves me time. Start there. Okay, and those are all of your files then. So that was your additional labs, environmental literacy, lectures, and your syllabus. This is just a little tidbit that came from the college saying, here's how you can succeed online. You can read on your own. It's got no bearing on my class specifically. I'm not going to test you on that or something, but it's something we thought might be fun. There's your discussions again. You use the quiz link again when you want to deal with your exams and that one extra credit quiz at the beginning of the semester. Grades are just that. And then here's your book. Should you buy the ebook? Remember, physical book or ebook is fine. This should be ready to go. You would go to the bookstore, buy the access code from the HEC Dell Mabry bookstore, then register. There is nothing I can do to help you. If you have technical issues, you've got to talk to Macmillan. Once you're set, you can access it. So let's go ahead and log in. Hopefully it's still working. You know, it's tech stuff. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There it goes. Okay, so this is my view. Let's go to your view. Okay, so you can see there's not much here. Again, it's only the ebook here. Everything you need is either online on Canvas or your book. So click on the ebook. Like I said, it's a modified version of the Carr book, K-A-R-R. There you go. There's Susan Carr, 4th edition. And here are all your chapters. So pick any one of them. There's ecology. Let's go to any one of the modules. And just because we're here, there you go, end of module resources. Okie dokie. All right, so remember, you only have to do the environmental literacy quizzes. So down here, there they are. Now, like I said, the physical book, from what I'm seeing, has no answers. That's why I posted it for you on Canvas. The ebook has some. Notice question 1 has it, question 2 has answers, question 3 doesn't. Okay. Question 4 has an answer, question 5 doesn't. Okay, so this is why I asked for permission from the author to post all of the answers to the module questions for environmental literacy here. Remember, just go back there and check. But there you go. There's your ebook. Just got to buy the access code from the HEC Dell Mabry bookstore. There is one other link here. It is right here, your library link. I have it here in case you ever want to use it. It might make me log in, which means I'm not going to do it right now. I've been talking for so long. I probably, yeah, it's going to make me log in. But no worries. But I kept it there in case you want to use it for some reason for your Gordon Moore or something like that. There you go, though. There is everything you need for the semester, the entire course. It is lovely to meet you. I check my email frequently, even though, yes, I have formal hours, but I check it frequently. If you have any questions, let me know. If you want to set up a Teams appointment, let me go. But beyond that, do not forget to send me that, yes, I want to stay in the course email and get ready for that first quiz. Beyond that, again, it's delightful to meet you. Just let me know if anything comes up. Have a lovely day, everybody. Welcome to the course.